Friends, welcome to this second session of Building Bridges Between Brethren Through Compassionate Listening. We're really delighted to welcome back Barbara and Joe and Harriet to lead us in this second part of the work of compassionate listening that they've been leading us through, especially working on that skill of micro-paraphrasing and how we can be in better communication with each other. And so I am delighted to have the three of you with all the skills and the work that you've put into us to lead us again. And I'd just like to turn things back over to you so you can jump us into the next 2 hours of work.
Thank you, Anton. Our team supplementing our host and techie guru, Anton, are again the three of us. I'm Barbara Daté, originally from York Center Church of the Brethren and Manchester College and in New England for a few years. And then I settled in Eugene, Oregon, and was called to work with Indigenous folks in Hawaii and in Canada, also with Mennonites in Canada, and then the Irish in the Republic in Northern Ireland. And Indigenous people there. And because the Irish have survived 800 years of oppression, it gives me a lot of hope in our country. And my work here and everywhere has been focused on interpersonal peacemaking and daily living and building healthy relationships. And Harriet and Joe, you'll introduce yourselves briefly. Harriet?
Yes, so I'm Harriet Koska from Pacific Northwest District, Olympic View Community Church, where I'm on the leadership team and the worship team leader. Also for the denomination, I am racial justice advocate lead. I live in Seattle, Washington, and on Duwamish land.
And I'm Joe Vecchio, Pacific Southwest, grew up in Pasadena. I now worship in East LA at Restoration Los Angeles. And I do kids ministry there and Skid Row ministry. And so I do lots of volunteer work at the local elementary school and helping wherever. And I'm really enjoying this time together.
Thank you, Joe and Harriet. We do want you to do a simplified sign in, at least with your name and district, and a land acknowledgement if you did some research and you know what it is, and any brethren leadership that you wish to mention, that would be fine. And also a word or two about anything that you can reflect back from how you're feeling about last Tuesday. And that I'll go ahead and share a portion of my regular sign-in, but Joe is going to post into the
It's
chat.
there already.
Okay, it's already there. Great, thanks a lot. And so we'll share ours, so you'll sort of hear a little bit about what you might share. So I'm Barbara Daté from both the Pacific Northwest District and the Illinois-Wisconsin District, a member of the Springfield Church of the Brethren in Eugene, Oregon, and in Madison, Wisconsin. So my land, I have two land acknowledgements, the Kalapuya Lihi in southwestern Oregon, and Madison, the Ho-Chunk, the peoples of the loud voices. And I am on the Mission Ministry Board member still, in Intercultural Ministries Advisory Team. And what I've been calling the Ministry of Presence Resource. So Joe and then Harriet.
As it's posted there, Joe, PSWD, Restoration Los Angeles, Kids Ministries, California, Gabrieliano, Tongvaland, Camp Peaceful Pines Resource Leader, Intercultural Ministries Advisory Team, and I'm excited for tonight.
Yes, and I'm Harriet Costco, Pacific Northwest District, Olympic View Community Church of the Brethren in Seattle, Washington. I live on Duwamish land. I'm an OVCOB board member, COB Racial Justice Advocate Lead, and I'm grateful.
Thank you. So, and also thank you all for doing some type of abbreviated sign in. So thanks a lot. Harriet, you are going to invite us into an opening prayer.
Yes. If you've been hurt, if you have hurt someone, if you have witnessed a confrontation, we are here to listen. If you see hope, if you want to give things a chance to succeed, if you can support, we want to hear you. I can't do this on my own, and neither can you. With God, all things are possible and all things will be known. I ask God what to say, not that I would speak for God, but so God might speak through me. God who knows every hair on my head, God who sees every thought, intent, and action. Holy Spirit, here in our midst, open our hearts to your expansive presence in our lives. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So welcome all, and we're really delighted to share this special time of listening and sharing together. And we wish to remind ourselves that this innovative model, the Daté Discernment Circle, invites us to get centered and listen for the movement of the Spirit here in our midst, and to share via each person's sharing and discernment, which could lead us to deeper understanding at the end of our time together. So we wanted to also note that some of you were sharing nonverbal reactions with the in various ways last time, and we invite you to continue to doing that when we're in sort of a teaching sharing mode. But once we enter into the actual deep listening, that we want you to hold on to your hat and wait, until after we're finished with that. We were going to invite you just for a few minutes to maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of you, if you have some observation that you would like to make that you had between last Tuesday and today about micro-paraphrasing or anything about deep compassionate listening, that we can hear from a few of you. And Harriet's going, whatever you say, Harriet's paragraph by paragraph, Harriet's going to respond with a micro-paraphrase. So we're looking for any of you who have an observation that you'd like to share about anything about what we're studying and learning to do here. I'm looking for volunteers. Looks like Kathy.
You unmute.
Yeah, thank you.
The thing that's kind of been cycling in my mind since last Tuesday is this is probably a skill I needed when I was still working with my partner at school. And I wish I
thought it
had
would be
known
useful.
it. Because she was a personality that always needed validation. And I think that the non-intrusive in and out, I hear you, you're frustrated, you're this, that. I think that would probably have been a better way. So I think there's application for this.
You like the intentionality.
Yes. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you both. So Harriet, your micro-paraphrasing was you like the intentionality. Forward. Great. Anybody else? Any observation you want to share from last week? Pastor Samuel?
Yeah,
Heather,
it's like a question. Sometimes listening has two-way. One, you listen to oral statement of the person speaking, and then there's also a speaking non-verbal, that as the person, the voice, the motion is also part of the speech.
You
So
read their feelings.
yeah, so how do you paraphrase properly that you really understood what the person is saying? Because sometimes what they say orally may not actually be what they wanted to say, but the language or their voice or the movement can tell you that what they say is not the real.
You see a discrepancy.
Yeah.
Yes, great micro paraphrases. Yeah, Samuel, that's a great, very sort of complex question that you're asking, that you're right. Sometimes people will use words to express something, but you observe their behaviors to be different from what their words are. And there are other skills to use. I would always be thinking in my mind, if in doubt, paraphrase, so that the very first thing that you do is paraphrase it, even though in your own observation in mind, you're going, that's really not what I'm seeing here. But then one skill is a behavior observation. You could do the micro paraphrase and then say, however, also I'm observing your tense or, whatever it is that you're observing, and say, then I would say something like, so I really would like to understand more deeply, how you're doing, or, what I could understand more deeply because I see this contrast or whatever. That's a totally different skill, a behavior observation, but there are many other skills to use when you're relating to someone, and that we're just saying that the safest thing to do that will probably not get you in trouble with somebody else and that they would feel like they could trust you would be to first offer the reflection in terms of a micro paraphrase, and then there are many other choices that you could use in addition to that. And so I wouldn't give up the floor. I would, do the micro paraphrasing and then go right on immediately to say, however, or I'm also noticing, or whatever, so that they don't continue saying whatever they're saying, so that you feel more alienated from really understanding them. So thanks for that question, Samuel.
And Heather raised her hand.
Okay. Okay.
Hi.
Oh,
I think Rebecca wanted to respond to what Samuel said first.
Oh, you're giving the floor to Rebecca. Yes.
no, not responding, but in some culture, as a woman, you are not allowed to paraphrase or to pronounce when a man or an elder or someone bigger than you is talking. It's just to be mute and then to acknowledge and acknowledge whatsoever. So, I want to teach this skill to my team when I go home, but how can I apply it, since is very, very difficult. Some, if you paraphrase, you may end up in trouble.
Yeah, even be in prison. Yes, and thanks for bringing this up, and that's a much longer conversation that I'm very eager to talk with any of you about. But it's something that I encountered during a practice, a very serious Daté Discernment Circle, where one of my most gifted students had organized something, and that an elder had come into the room, not really invited to this, but that Mary Alice had learned about that. And that's when we realized the difference in cultural differences that we needed to take into account, and also be prepared to respond differently in different situations. So that's a very, very important observation that you're making, Rebecca. So I wanted to go back to Heather to see if you were just pointing out that Rebecca was trying to get the floor, or do you also have something you wanted to share? And then we'll probably wrap this section up after you, Heather.
I was going to say that this practice has helped me to think about how I usually go about these sorts of things. And I usually, in my eagerness to make someone feel heard, I listen to what they want to talk about, and then I scramble in my mind to think about as many points on that subject as I can. And it's like I think I can if I have enough volume of things to say to them, that they'll be happy with the conversation or
You're
something.
planning what to say next.
Yeah, and so this week I tried this a couple of times. I was only here for the first hour last week, but I tried it with my 3-year-old, and who always wants attention, right? And instead of trying to distract her or add to the conversation in a way that might steer it in a way that she wasn't going, I could just paraphrase, and she'll tell me if I'm right. And then I also tried it with a coworker who is um, an extrovert in an introvert's job, and he always wants to connect, but he's always coming into work when I'm leaving work. He's a nighttime custodian and I'm a teacher. And I think what I did was I used 8 words, and I could see that it was somewhat effective, but I still felt like I had spoken too long when he was talking to me about something difficult that had gone on during his day. So um, I'm working on it. I'm noticing things, and I noticed someone that already seemed to know how to do this. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I'm gonna keep observing before I ask them. And I also would like to know um, in what situations we should use this cautiously, kind of like what Rebecca was saying.
You're nervous to open something.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yes, Harriet, thank you for all of those micro paraphrases. They all were short, and you got some kind of response from people. So I want to respond briefly to Heather and not answer everything completely, but those examples were really excellent. You know, finding an opportunity with your daughter and with a coworker, and sort of monitoring yourself in terms of what options maybe it might be useful, and then to try it and collect your own data on that as well. That you made the observation that you thought a micro paraphrase of 8 words might have been too long, and it's possible that that was the case. But I want to applaud you in noticing opportunities to try it and to be monitoring, you know, observing yourself and thinking about what kind of impact that has. So that's really fabulous. And the question that you have about when might you be cautious, I think I referred to a couple of situations where you might be careful, but any time that you think that you might be harmed or whatever, there's 2 different responses to that. And one is that sometimes by offering a micro paraphrase that actually can protect you. But there are other times where that might, you know, put you in danger. And just like the example that Rebecca shared, that in some cultural situations where it's not a learning or educational moment, that you could be putting yourself in harm's way. So thank you all for sharing these observations during this last week from our last time on Tuesday. So we wanted to just do a quick highlight of certain things, that the heart of what we're emphasizing and learning is really a radical and innovative ministry of presence, listening, deep compassionate listening. And we want to recall the Chinese brilliant concept of the English term to listen in slide number 2, the Chinese characters, and that you will recall that those of us who um, had made some observations before, that there are nonverbal aspects of this concept of to listen that's captured in the Chinese way of understanding to listen. So ear, you, eyes, undivided attention, and heart. Then we have this little special miniature 7 seconds of the 1 minute video that you have, so you can watch it if you haven't watched it. And here's the mini clip of it, and then we'll make a few observations about that. And don't worry, you have this already in your email. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the whole thing, you will be able to.
So we're glad to share this little bit of a clip from the Fitz family that they posted on YouTube. This was made 5 years ago in March 21st of 2020. And it's just delightful. The point is not to understand the toddler, partly because this was taken in Boston, so it might be the Boston accent. Who knows? Here's the little clip.
Unbelievable.
So that's just a miniature of the whole thing, but we invite you to share any observation of this 7 seconds, or if you watched it, any couple of observations that you have about what you saw in that clip. I'm looking around, I can't always see when somebody is being brave and volunteering. Oh, hi, Funa. Linda?
I loved it that the father was, from my perception, giving full attention, undoubtedly eye contact, probably leaning into this conversation and honoring and respecting, even if tongue in cheek, what this little one was communicating.
Yes, you're highlighting the focus on her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one observation. Anybody else? I'm looking around to see if anyone else has an observation you want to make. Yes, Tara Lynn?
I think with, especially with young children as they're learning their language, developing their language skills, it's important to, even if we don't understand them, to acknowledge them. And I know when my kids were little, I did not just pretend that they weren't talking to me. I actually would respond similarly because I knew that it was a way for us to connect. And so I think it's important to be able to do that with children and not baby talk to them. And I've heard other people say, that they were surprised well, you gave the example last week of when you were talking with someone's little one, that they were surprised you were talking to them as though they were an adult. Well, that's how they learn their skills. And so I think that was really important. And I just love that video.
Yes, thank you very much, Tara Lynn. So a couple of things that I wanted to mention, even though I will sandwich in this, one of the most profound experiences I had in my life was at Camp Myrtlewood when Micah, who was under a year old, was talking to me about pine cones or whatever. I don't know what he was talking about, but he was holding a pine cone. And I just paraphrased him, and it was the same sort of experience. But what I wanted to make observations about this video, and even just what we saw in 7 seconds, the dad's focus on Aaron, this nonverbal attentiveness and verbal attentiveness to her, and the content. See, because she wasn't using any English words that we could understand, it didn't even matter what he said. He said unbelievable, which was sort of the big picture that I understood about what she was saying, that incredulous. I mean, her whole story is just, like unbelievable. And that it was short. So brevity, being concise, it was one word in this example we looked at, but all of his examples were very short. And she goes on for a minute, intensely, sharing this experience and her thoughts and her feelings to him. It's just precious. So those of you who haven't seen it, I urge you to watch it. So I think that's all I wanted to share about that. But when you watch it, you might observe her reaction and her emotional response to his focusing on her and her going on and on and on to explain what was going on. So this brings us to our readiness to listen deeply and compassionately via this adapted Daté Discernment Circle process. And it's our group listening process, and we want to remind ourselves of that. The picture, the Winnipeg picture of an actual Daté Discernment Circle, which is slide 4, I think. It's up there in the corner. Okay, thank you, Anton. You can see I'm the facilitator. I'm standing. I'm responsible for the well-being of the people in the room. And the 3 people in the front are the 3 speakers in the queue. The one in the middle is the one whose turn it is who's speaking. And that Mary Alice, the special listener, is in front, and everybody else is around and very, very attentive. Thank you. And that the other slide that we can look at, which illustrates the 3 boxed roles, I think that's slide number 5 from last time also, that we have the facilitator protecting the well-being of everyone, including the speaker and the special listener, and the speaker, and then the special listener who is invited by the special listener. And then our purpose, reminding us of our purpose, which is slide 6. Our purpose is to convey understanding. Our definition is restating, so reflecting back your own understanding of what the person has shared so far. This is their slide, watching their slideshow and their video, and remembering that the spotlight is on them. They are the script writer, the videographer, the set designer, the costumer, and the star of their story. So keep the spotlight on them, and the best way how to do that is actually to offer a micro paraphrase, or many in a row, depending on how long the person is sharing. And then the process is to capture the reflect back the heart, the core, the gist of what is the big picture that you understand so far. And then they'll go on to the next slide, and that you'll be able to see and reflect back the next slide. The 3 criteria, I'll just highlight again: to focus on the speaker, who is the star, restate and reflect the core of it, and be as short as possible, because believe it or not, you're striving to be invisible, to offer the support to the person who is speaking. And then the speaker has 3 choices to select your own special listener. And that is, 1, to invite a person by actually their individual name, so it's somebody that you know. Invite a person from a specific category, and we listed a whole bunch of different kind of categories, or a volunteer, even though you could say what kind of volunteer you wanted, but the 3rd choice is a volunteer, and usually it's whoever's up for that. And then getting ready to share, we're inviting you to type into the chat if you can. Add me to the speaker list, and Joe will be keeping track of that. And that if you're having trouble typing into the chat, you can raise your hand, and one of us will try to keep track of you and make sure your name is added into that list. So as we move forward here, we're going to remind ourselves about Sister Teresa's from Winnipeg, her wisdom. And Harriet, I'm inviting you to just read that to us.
Pain we humans experience most often comes from not feeling seen, not being heard, not being trusted, not being recognized, not feeling safe and secure.
Thank you. And the last observation, wisdom that we want to remind us of, and we'll read this in unison together. Roger Fisher's famous quote, and feel free to just speak it. You're mostly mic'd, so don't unmic. Anyway, here it is. Even when we don't see eye to eye, we can walk arm in arm. And then the reminder of our prompts before we shift gears to into our deep compassionate listening are these: I'm heartened by, or I'm disheartened by. So we invite you to get ready to listen and share and to listen. And so I'm checking with you, Joe, to see if we have any names in the chat yet of who's interested to go. Starting out, it's always hardest to get the first three. So I'm looking to see what the situation is. And in about 40 minutes from now, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And that I'll try to indicate before we get to that so that the person knows, who is sharing and when we're going to be taking that break. So, Joe, you have anybody in the chat?
No volunteer speakers yet. And remember, if you volunteer to speak, you will get help.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We do have Pat. Pat says in the chat, add me to the speaker list.
Okay. So, Pat, you're going to be up first. And so, Pat, be thinking about what of the 3 choices you want for your special listener. And while you're thinking about that, I'm still looking for 2 more people to get in the queue because we always have 3 set there. And the reason why is it helps the whole room, a body of listeners, be calm because you don't have to worry about whether you're going to volunteer to be next. And that the other 2, number 2 and number 3, they know, how much longer they need to try to stay centered before it's time for them to share. So looking for the other 2 to volunteer. Sharing I'm heartened by or I'm disheartened by in our life together as brethren.
We got 2 more.
Okay, that's great. And who are the other 2?
Gail and Funa.
Gail and Funa. So we have Pat, Gail, and Funa. Okay, Pat, hopefully you've thought now whether you want to call someone by name or by a category or a volunteer. And when you name that person, you'll both come up and be spotlighted at the top row.
Oh, a volunteer would be okay.
Okay, so we're looking for a volunteer, and I will be your coach. So you'll both get support from me as a facilitator. So we're looking for a volunteer. It's always hard getting started at the beginning unless there's a real urgent, emergent, hot topic that's happening. I see Lisa raising her hand.
You're muted.
Anton, you can pop
as needed.
So, Pat, okay. We're gonna move Joe and Harriet out of there. Okay, they're at the top. Okay, so Pat, what will be helpful is for you to share a paragraph that's 3 or 4 sentences. And if you can remember to pause, that's fine. But if you don't, I'll be non-verbally or verbally trying to get your attention to pause. And then Lisa will offer a micro-paraphrase in however you want to do that. And I'll be there to also support you. So Pat?
I'm greatly heartened by the Church of the Brethren taking a stance with relations to ICE, and they seem to be so out of control. I I like the way the Church of the Brethren is physically and monetarily helping people that are being unjustly detained, or they're even trying to deport them.
You're encouraged about the response that you've seen from our denomination.
Yes, and I hope we can continue this, and I hope we can be a help to the people that are being unjustly treated. And I hope in the future that we can find a way to slow this diabolical type of movement that's happening in our country down.
You remain hopeful that we can continue progress.
Yes, and I hope more people get involved. I hope it's not just Church of the Brethren. I think other denominations are involved, but I I I would be thrilled if we could have more denominations involved and working together on this issue.
You sense a rising tide and rising numbers.
Shall I keep going or wait till you give
We're,
me a signal?
we're sitting with you, and if you have something else you want to add, you may. People can add, share 3 or 8 paragraphs, as fair share of this time. If you want something to add something else, that would be fine. Or to stop. You can come back again later if you want.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll stop.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, and Lisa, you did an excellent job.
Wow.
Thank you so much. So we're back at the queue. I'm just looking at the list there. Yikes. I'm trying to see where the list is.
Gail Erisman Valletta is next.
Gail, you're next to share, and you have your choice of your special listener. And that once you say that, then Ensign will send you up to the top with your special listener.
I will choose Carolyn Schrock.
Okay, so Gail and Carolyn Schrock. Okay, there you go, Gail.
Thank you, Carolyn, for being willing to listen. I've never been so heartened as to see that Church of the Brethren values have given me all I've needed to, a foundation for all I've needed to know what is the gospel is really about in a time when the world seems to have gone into such chaos. And it's given me such clarity to know that judge not and love your neighbor as yourself, and the Sermon on the Mount are really so important in the world we live in today.
You are pleased that the Church of the Brethren has given you the foundations that you need to deal with this current world.
Right. And it's been so heartening to know that sometimes we learn from negative experiences. And so I think that I'm learning much more from the negative experience about how needed the church is than I would have just going on when everything was somewhat going swimmingly, not maybe great, but I think learning what we have to offer is our jewel, our prize that we can, our pearl of great price.
You are surprised that you are able to learn from the negatives that you are observing
Right.
these days.
It's been a wonderful gift to know that we're essential and we're really necessary and needed.
You are gifted to know that you can contribute.
Well, that our heritage is our gift to the world and so desperately needed.
You are gifted through your denomination. That you have what the world needs to hear.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gil, for volunteering. And Carolyn, you did a superb job of actually twice she didn't share like 3 or 4 sentences. So it's very hard to paraphrase something short like that, but you really, zeroed in and used different vocabulary, synonyms to grasp what she was sharing. You did an excellent job. Okay, and I'm looking at the queue because now we should have Una and 2 more people in the queue.
Yeah, we desperately need several more volunteers to speak.
Okay. So Funa, while we're waiting for other people to get on the list, be thinking about who you would like to select of your 3 choices for a special listener.
I'll do like Pat, a volunteer.
So Funa, you're going to ask for a volunteer. Okay, so we're looking for a volunteer. Plus, I see Terry Lynn hand go up. And Enton, you can put them up there, but let's wait until we get 2 more volunteers. We always need to have three on the queue, including the person who's going next. And I don't know how we're going to find that person. You can.
Okay, we have one more speaker. We just need one more.
Okay, so we have.
Thank you, Kendra.
So it's Funa, Kendra, and one other person. This gives the speaker and listener to get centered.
And Tara Lynn, thank you.
Hey, great. Okay, Funa, the floor is yours, literally.
Thank you. I am disheartened that temporary protection status, TPS, is ending February 3rd, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Probably 350,000 plus Haitians will need to be deported to a homeland who is not safe with gang violence and insecurities and kidnapping and the children who are born here who will be at risk of either being in the system, foster care, or kidnapping. And it's a choice for the government because it's a neutral choice.
You're disheartened by the change in the protective status of the Haitian immigrants.
I'm disheartened of the killing of citizens, the force of brutality that ICE is implementing without cause. And it's just fine for them. The Trump administration wins the court. They had victory today for freeing ICE agent from Minnesota protest restrictions. So that means they can continue to do harm.
Big picture.
You're saddened by the continued violence that is being perpetrated by ICE.
But I am heartened by the love that us brethren are showing to each other by being present. We had 2 brethren clergy that were there last week in Minneapolis. I was happy when they made it home safely because there were 100 who were in jail. So seeing Jen Husler's post and Matt Riddle post gave me great joy that they made it home safely.
And you're grateful for the presence of Church of the Brethren clergy in Minnesota, and I would imagine in other places as well.
I am heartened for the deportation defense response. We have raised $190,000 to serve almost 100 brethren with legal fees and immigration resources.
And you're grateful for the increased support for the DDR financially to be able to assist those in need.
So thank you.
It's hard not to be wordy. I'm sorry. I struggle with that.
It is. It's a unique skill that is very difficult. And that's why I shared the vocabulary list, because we can increase our vocabulary. It will help us feel more comfortable, as a listener when somebody is sharing. And the other thing that you did a great job in your selection of, few words to reflect back. That you used different synonyms and you were able to stay centered, even though Funa was, really deeply emotional. And one of the things that I meant to mention sooner than now is that one of the pieces of equipment that we need always for Daté Discernment Circle, and even adapted like we are, is to have some Kleenex tissues available. Because sometimes somebody will, feel very emotional. So, Carolyn, you did a great job of reflecting back. Thank you. I'm scrolling down and it's Kendra and Terry Lynn. We're looking for a third person to always be writing in the chat so that we know who the 3 people are. So I see Heather. Am I reading this?
Yeah, we have Heather Hartwell.
Yes. Okay. So it's Kendra, Terry Lynn, and Heather. And so we'll always hope that you'll be writing your name in at some point. Okay, Kendra. And we're looking for who you would like for your special listener.
Add for a volunteer.
Okay, we're looking for a volunteer for Kendra. Kendra's already up at the top. Okay, Pat. Thank you. So when you're ready, Kendra.
As has been mentioned much already, I add my voice to the feeling of being disheartened by the violence and the disregard of human life on across the board, it seems, in our country. It almost feels difficult to even talk about it and share with what's I'm actually feeling about it. There's sadness, but anger, and sometimes I don't know quite what to do with my emotions.
Good. Pat?
You sound so upset. You're confused.
Yeah, and trying to make sense of what's going on, but it almost feels like it just doesn't make sense. um, and yet, in the last week or so, I was signed up to be a part of Kingian nonviolence training. It was interesting at the Wichita church here in Kansas, and because of the storm, we ended up not having that, and so I was feeling kind of disheartened by that. And yet then some other kinds of things were popping up in email and opportunities to find other ways to help myself learn about how I can be a part of a solution.
That's good.
You're sorry you missed out on that training, but looking forward to other avenues.
Yeah. And there was actually a brief, but an online training last night by Women's March that opened up it wasn't an in-depth training, but it was an opening space for me to begin to understand where I might move and how I might fit into things in ways that feel authentic to me, but also kind of push my comfort zone a little bit. And so that felt really good. And I'm feeling heartened that that's lifting me up in some ways, that it's feeling like I can begin to start to see where I can contribute.
So you're feeling that you're finding your way and you are going to make a positive impact.
Yes. One step at a time, I guess. I think I'm feeling complete.
Winding down. Yes, great. Thank you very much, Kendra, for volunteering to share, and Pat for your
yes,
taking the role of special listener. And all of you can reflect back on when somebody does an excellent job of a very short micro-paraphrasing. The person often says right or yes or some kind of short affirmation, and then they go on to their next paragraph. So you get some instantaneous response sometimes, or nonverbal, that they're nodding or smiling or whatever, that you got it, and then they are liberated and encouraged to go on with whatever else that they have, and they don't always know in advance the complete paragraphs or the complete ideas that they want to share. But if you stick really close to them, you'll see, you have been able to observe that then a more complete understanding comes to them internally that they can express in words, for the rest of the world. So thank you. So Tara Lynn, you're next, and Heather is after that. And I'm looking for who is next.
Another volunteer.
I'm going to ask Bruce if he would be my listener.
Okay, and while Bruce is being moved up there, I do want to encourage more people to type into the chat or raise your hand if you can't type into the chat, so that we know who the third person is. So wait just a minute, Tara Lynn. We'll just sit a few seconds longer here. It's possible a lot of people came because they want to really learn how to be a deep, compassionate listener and weren't that prepared to actually share, which is fine. But we need help so we can practice this. Oh, and while we're waiting, I noticed that somebody put up in the chat, there's the address to the Atlantic Southeast District for funds. Okay, Joe, I don't see it. I'm willing to go on, but please keep an eye on that list, okay? This next time we'll have to have two people on the list. Okay, Terlyn and Bruce as your special listener.
I am disheartened by the lack of support of so many people within our congregations for what is happening not only in Minnesota, but also in other places like Springfield, Ohio, where I live close to.
Feeling lack of support.
I'm also at the same time heartened by so many people who are taking a stand, not just from the Church of the Brethren, but from all over, who are seeing that it's important for the numbers to keep increasing, to voice our discontent with what's happening.
Lots of support.
At the same time, I have all these things going on in my head. I'm angry and I am sad and I am disappointed in the fact that as we approach the 250th so-called anniversary of our country, that we're not doing more talking about how are we going to celebrate? Are we going to celebrate? Can we celebrate this big anniversary in July?
Your spiritual perception is very confused as we face this.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up.
Okay, Terlyn, thank you so much. And Bruce, thank you for agreeing to be her listener. So Joe, I see.
And Kathy, you put your name in there with a thank you. Are you open to being a speaker?
I was thanking Fauna for the address to the DDR.
Okay.
Well, for providing that information, yes. Yes. Thank you for noticing that, Kathy.
Okay, so at this point, Heather would be our final speaker, or?
No, we're now looking for two more plus a third, but we can, Heather, we can find out who you would like for your special listener, and then we can, here we have Steve. So Steve Stone, so Heather and Steve Stone, and we need one other person in the list.
So I had also asked Bruce, but perhaps someone that hasn't gone yet would like to be my special listener so that he can get a break from it.
Sure, that's very kind-hearted of you, Heather. So we're looking for a volunteer special listener.
That's Bruce and Kendra.
I see that Bruce has raised his hand. Bruce, are you indicating that you're willing to still be a listener for Heather? Okay. And Barbara, I'm not sure when you want to work a break in, but
yes, we'll probably do it either before or after Steve. I'll check with him about that.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. I'll wait till you're in the picture with me. Yeah. I feel disheartened with myself sometimes in response to current events because I feel so tired. I have to constantly ask my support group, which is Living Stream, even though I don't get to attend the way I would like, and my Mennonite neighbors, and I feel like I'm constantly having to tap into the things that feed me lately because what I'm hearing in the news is, well, so disheartening. Like,
You're overwhelmed.
yeah. Yeah. So it's not like I'm heartened, I'm happy, I'm disheartened, I'm sad, but like,
Too much to keep track of.
yeah. And so I was talking to my neighbor, my Mennonite neighbor today about it, and I think about the quote that was on our slides in the moral arc of the universe, eventually curving toward justice, but it's long. And I feel that like in my lifetime, I'm not going to see the progress I want, is what I think. Every time an event like the things that happened in Minneapolis this week, every time something like that happens, I have to remember to focus on what I can do.
In
And
spite of
so,
your discouragement, you're feeling some hope.
yeah. So I mentioned my supports. And I really feel called, especially in this new year, to serve locally, like to be present with who I'm with. So it's hard when things in the news call my attention away from that. And it's not like I don't care about that, because obviously I do, or I wouldn't have mentioned it in this way. But yeah, I guess me doing what I can here locally is getting me through day by day right now.
You're called to respond, but you're also grateful for your support, people.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Heather, for sharing. And Bruce, you did a great job, except for the very last thing that you said was not a micro paraphrase when you said bless you. But it was at the end, so it passes. Thank you very much, Bruce. And I'm looking at the list. We have Steve Stone and Colleen Michael, and I'm just going to check with you, Steve, whether you want to go next or you're fine with having a break now. Otherwise, we'll do a break after you're finished. It's totally up to you.
I'm flexible, whichever you think. Since there's two of us, maybe it would make sense to take the break now and come back and have a couple finish up.
Okay, that's fine. Anton, is that fine with you to take a break? And so we'll have this fabulous timer up there again for a little over 5 minutes with some, I think we'll have Linda's music again. And
We will.
Please come
So
back.
people, take care of yourselves. Take a little bit of an emotional break. Get up and stretch. Let your body move. And come back as soon as you see that timer get to 0.
Great. Thank you so much.
And friends, we're coming back. So hope that you all can be back in your seats and join us again.
Thank you, Anton. So we have Steve coming up next. And Steve, we're hoping that you will call a special listener.
If someone's willing, I would like someone who has a family member with a mental health diagnosis.
Okay, so seeking somebody from a category who maybe has some personal experience with mental health diagnosis. And while we're looking for a volunteer, I just wanted to make a couple of observations that you can see how, regardless of what kind of a micro-paraphrase that you've offered, that if you focus on the other person and you say a few words, the best that what you can grasp, that the other person can easily go forward or add more information if that wasn't exactly, the way they were going, that they will clarify more. And it's a gift to the other person. And when you're in a group, it's a gift for all of us because you are the special listener for the entire body of listeners. And so I think I'll pause there. Steve, if you
Looks like nobody's.
to see that nobody is, oh, Linda is offering. I see Linda's hand raised. Thank you, Linda. Thank you also for the music.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Okay, so we're together at the top there, Steve.
So I'm encouraged that even though mental illness is in my extended family's DNA, we've been able to experience career, professional success. My mother was a middle school teacher. I, who am bipolar, have 3 graduate degrees and completed CPE training in psychiatric chaplaincy. My grandson is on the dean's list at the University of Kentucky studying chemical engineering. His sister is earning a PhD in occupational therapy. And I am just, the bad news is there's no cure, but the good news is we can manage the illness that we have.
You're feeling grateful and relieved that these successes have been possible.
So in response to learning that I was bipolar, I tried to decide not to be reactive to the symptoms, but be proactive, let that reality impact my ministry. I got training at Prairie View Psychiatric Hospital in Newton, Kansas, 1,200 hours training in psychiatric chaplaincy. That Bethany professors had recommended CPE, and although not possible at that time, later in life the opportunity opened up. And I'm thankful that not only that I got the training, but that it prepared me for the ministry that I now have.
You've taken numerous proactive steps to deal with these challenges.
Thank you. So my current ministry, I am chaplain at a place in Lexington, Kentucky called Participation Station. It's a peer-operated center for people with mental illness. Many of my clients, many of my patients are schizophrenic or bipolar or have borderline personality disorder. So I would not have the ministry I have if I didn't have the diagnosis that I have. So I have been able to, in response to the reality that I live with, I have been able to develop ministry to the mentally ill.
You have turned your lived experience into a blessing for many.
I'm also thankful to be enrolled in a couple of studies, one with Sanders Brown, which is a agency of the University of Kentucky that deals with ministry of the elderly or of elderly people, and tomorrow will be 79. Also through the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. There's an interest in, and it's interesting to all of you, particularly they focus on the brethren because mental illness is a reality that many brethren live with. And they are, although it won't be immediate help to me, it can be helpful to future generations.
You're staying on top of networking and new information right and left.
I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Happy birthday, even though that's not micro-paraphrasing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for sharing. And also the other thing, Steve, that you actually were sharing like one paragraph at a time.
Yeah.
So it was, 3 or 4 sentences. So it made, and your voice went down and you
Yes.
paused. So it made it easy for your special listener, Linda, to jump in there. And that I could tell, Linda, that you were really focusing on getting the big picture. And one point that your heart really was touched by something that Steve has shared, and that happens sometimes with the person who is actually sitting in the special listener chair, and that you were still able to manage your own personal feelings and still be there for Steve for his next paragraph. And so I just wanted to point that out, that you did an unusually good job at staying centered, but still being aware of yourself and your own feelings. Yeah, thank you both. And I'll take this opportunity to say that when we're sharing, if you could refrain to provide any reactions until later, because what it does is that even though they've all been really supportive responses, that it can take away from the spotlight on the speaker. And that's what we want to keep, focused on the speaker without any distractions. And so on Zoom, it's a little bit different than sitting in a room and I'm very aware, because in a room, when I'm standing up, I'm controlling my whole body to hold as still as possible so I don't distract the speaker, and I'm more focused on making sure that my expressions on my face or my body moving isn't going to distract from the speaker's focus to be able to share with us. So thank you very much. And so I'm looking at the list. We have Colleen Michael next in the queue. And Colleen, we are looking to you for your choice for a special listener. And Omar, welcome. And so we're waiting for a couple of more people to be brave to enter into the list of the next speakers.
I would be interested in a listener who's currently serving a church, either as a lay speaker or as a pastor.
Okay, a lay speaker or a pastor.
Yes.
Now we have a few of those in the room here. So we're looking for someone who's willing to volunteer to be Colleen's. Okay, Tim, thank you so much. And we're coming from across the country, various places, and Colleen is in the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest District. And Tim, I'm just going to ask you to share with us, what part of the country are you
I am
living
from
in?
the state of Iowa.
State of Iowa, in the heartlands of the country. Great. Thank you so much, Tim. Okay, so Enton's going to move the two of you up, and we are looking for, and thanks for pausing, Enton. We're looking for at least 2 more people to get in the queue, and Joe will be looking at the chats. So Joe, I'm going to trust you to keep track of that, and for various of you to be moved and ready to share about what's on your heart and mind in our life together, sharing with one another. Okay, Colleen.
I was very disheartened last Thursday during our praise team rehearsal when, by consensus, elected not to sing Mike Stern's new song, rewritten Stand Up.
You felt like a sore thumb. You wanted to stand up.
one of the reasons that was disheartening to me the most was they were afraid there would be a compromise between church and state, because his song talks about they came for the communists and they came for the Jews, but I'm not a communist and I'm not a Jew, so I didn't stand up.
So add one more sentence because it'll be easier for anybody to paraphrase that.
The primary reason for not singing this song on Sunday morning was because our couple of primary donors would have been offended.
So disappointed with a lack of courage.
I was heartened, really, that when he rewrote this, wrote new words, he changed a couple of the words. He changed immigrants to deportees, so it became more relevant for what's going on right now. And we have some Hispanics in our congregation that are fearful and yet elected not to sing this song for fear of offending.
You had such a great song, and sad that it couldn't be used.
Yes.
So we're sitting here with you, calling to see if there's something else you want to add.
Well, our church primarily works by consensus, and we only have 6 people in our praise team. It's hard to come to consensus when there's, I would have preferred a vote on that time, but I was disheartened that the people that thought we should not sing the song are those that would have shown up at a rally or would have shown up to support the deportation task team.
You're frustrated because the people that would be supportive just couldn't get their voice out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Colleen. And Tim, you did a great job because she gave very concise sentences and paragraphs, and so it's hard to nab, the heart of that because it's not a lot of words, but it has a deep meaning. And so great effort there. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen, for sharing this. Okay, I'm looking at the chat and it looks like it's empty right now, which actually that's very rare. So I don't know if what people were thinking about sharing that's on different topics or what. We have heard from people sort of across the country, from Virginia and Iowa and Washington and listeners and Colorado and special listeners from across the country too. So we're getting a nice spread. I see, Rebecca, you're raising your hand. Are you saying you would like to be a speaker? Go on the speaker list? Let's see, you're muted. I don't know whether.
Yes.
Okay, we'll put you on the list. I'm looking for 2 more people to add to the list. And while we're waiting for a couple more people to add to the speaker list, then Rebecca, we want you to request who you want for your special listener, by name or by a category or a volunteer.
Let me see the faces. I would like a missionary in Nigeria. So Shock is here. And who again?
So someone who's done some missionary work, preferably in Nigeria or anywhere in Africa. I know there are a couple of you who have been. Carolyn, are you willing to be her special listener, it looks like. Thank you so much. Okay, Anton will move you up. When you're ready, Rebecca, you may begin.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I am disheartened when I was called by commission organized by Congress to go and stand as a witness on Nigerian Christian persecution. And I went and I gave the story of a lot of people killed, both women, children, Christian. Can you paraphrase now?
Oh, I'm going to invite you to say one more sentence because it's easier.
Oh, one more sentence?
It's easier to do a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 sentences. Yes, one more
Okay.
sentence.
And I did not say the word genocide against Christian because my data and people that we serve in my organization are both Christian and Muslim who were killed, although Christian were killed more than Muslims.
You were pleased to have the experience to meet with Congress, a special committee about the harming of Christians in Nigeria.
And I am happy that I shared the discrimination of Muslims against Christian in Nigeria. Employment very hard for Christian. The student, even in school, some of the courses is very hard for Christian, and even if they are admitted like in medicine, law, they are persecuted. And I gave example of my son who was persecuted in Zaria because he was a Christian. And discrimination against churches and land that were built, but then they were not given chance to they are demolished and not taken as citizens, and a lot of things that was done to Christian.
Mm-hmm.
You were pleased to be able to share the relationship between the Christians and the Muslims in Nigeria and to tell of the discrimination against Christians by Muslims.
Yes. And I am disheartened that now I'm receiving a lot of threat from both Christian and Muslims and accusation. And so my life seemed to be in danger, but I'm going home in February. So I need prayer, but I'm disheartened and afraid. And also, I wonder what I said that is wrong, because I stood on peace. I told them I don't want the bombing and because we need peace, and the government of US should make sure that they charge the politicians who are doing bad things, corruption, and supporting the terrorists, so that they will be fished out. I suggested the most peaceful way to do it, but a lot of people are not happy. So I'm disheartened.
So the big picture, Carolyn.
You are afraid now that you are receiving threats both from Christians and Muslims, and you're confused why what you said about peaceful ways brings the threats.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca, and we'll hold you in our prayers. So thank you, Carolyn. We can tell that you were tracking all of the details, and what Rebecca was sharing was very complex. So you were going after making sure that you were capturing all that. But, I was watching her carefully, and she was nodding and going on to share what she had to share. So it was effective what you said, and that it's very hard when somebody is sharing something really complicated to just find, a very small core or gist or heart of what's sharing, because it was very complex. So given the givens, Carolyn, you did a great job, because watching the impact on Rebecca, that was very positive. So thanks for volunteering, and also for all of your hard work that you've done over these decades, Carolyn. Thank you. Okay, so I'm glancing at the list, and Joe, you can set me straight, but I see 3 blanks there. And what I'd like to do is to have a couple more, and then we're going to have a little bit of time to debrief before we wind down. So we will use a little bit of time to do some debriefing about what you've learned these 2 sessions, but I'd like to see if there's a couple more people who would like to share about anything, in our life together as members of the Church of the Brethren. I'm looking around. I don't see anybody who's jumping up and down.
I
You're thinking about sharing something else?
No, I just want to appreciate what Steve Stone shared, and I really
Okay,
appreciate it.
let's get a special listener for you. Looking for someone, and then I just want to check whether, Lisa, you were leaning forward because you wanted to share next. You're thinking about it? Or was just trying to read any nonverbals there?
I will speak.
Okay, so you'll be after Rebecca. So Rebecca, we're looking for a special listener for you.
Am I speaking again?
Well, you said that you wanted to make an
No,
observation.
I just want to appreciate Steve, what he shared.
Okay, we accept that. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so Lisa, right? I'm losing track of.
Right. And I would just take a volunteer.
Okay, a volunteer. Okay, Steve. So Enton will put you up to the top. Oh, and then Harriet wants to go. So we'll close after Harriet. Okay, Lisa.
Well, I'm just going to speak for just a few minutes about the position I find myself in as the care coordinator for my congregation. We've, in the last couple of years, we lost a large team of a ministerial team of 5, and we're down to 2 and surviving with whoever, will speak in between. So I guess I would classify as a lay speaker now, and the head of the deacon team.
Steve?
I am disheartened by the loss of lay leaders in the church.
I guess it's not for lack of enthusiasm among those of us who are left, but we're all in mourning. Our district has lost so many people in the past year, really important people to us that you probably know: Sandy Wasserman, Ethmer Erisman. I could say more, but we're plugging along, and we have almost everyone is is trying to be a leader, but we're still trying to fill all the roles that used to be supported by multiple helpers, I guess.
Thank you. And Steve, you're going to reflect back to her. So instead of saying I, you'll say you, meaning Lisa, to Lisa.
Okay. You, Lisa, mourn the loss of church leaders and the fact that current members are not stepping forward.
Well, they are stepping forward. There just aren't enough.
Okay.
I'm not communicating very well, but the thing is, it's just a matter of fatigue and grief, and still people are working as hard as we can and trying to keep up with our obligations and relationships with each other. And I guess I'm just expressing I'm heartened that we're trying. We still have lots of programs. We've built a labyrinth. We're trying to welcome in the community. We have a radio spot. But all these things are draining. And then on top of it, with the whole situation of, children being frightened to go to school all over the country. And I guess I'm just trying to express that right now is a lot.
We're feeling grief from the loss of those who provided leadership and the fact that our numbers are dwindling.
Well, that's what he understood so far. You can respond to that if you want.
I'm not quite sure how to respond.
Well, you can.
I didn't intend to speak. I think that as brethren, sometimes we try to make it look like everything's okay, more okay than it is. As we, and we have new people that don't understand how long we have been shifting to survive. I guess that's the crux of my.
So new people don't understand how we're in survival mode.
Yeah, for 60 years, the whole time I know. In Warrensburg, we've been, we've tried it all. And so new things sometimes don't seem so new. That's enough. I'm sorry.
Well, Lisa, thank you for sharing. That's very deep and very broad what you shared. Thank you so much. And I'll just point out that this often happens when the content of what is shared back in a micro paraphrase is not exactly what where you were going, but then you actually the speaker then actually apologizes for not being clear. So this is a great example of what often happens when in that situation. And so thank you for volunteering to actually share when you weren't planning to. It was very deep and meaningful what you shared. And Steve, thanks so much for taking on the role to reflect back to Lisa, particularly when it's very deep and emotional sharing, very important to her own faith journey within the beloved community there. So thank you both. Okay, we have Harriet here, and then we'll probably wrap up after Harriet, unless there's somebody else who really wants to go. So Harriet, your job is to find your own special listener.
As a special listener, I'd like someone who was not raised in the church and came here later in life.
So not a long-term brethren.
Terry Lynn. Thank you.
Okay, when Anton gets you up there. Okay, there you go.
All right. And when I'm disheartened by just the general difficulty of seeing so many people that like these deaths of despair, people that seem so lonely, and yet there doesn't seem to be any way to get them to just walk in the door of a church for any reason. It's seems like the whole thing looks scary to them, and yet it's an opportunity where nobody's going to bug you, and
Yeah, that's a good place to pause.
You're disheartened by the fact that you see a need for people to come to church because we have so much to offer, but yet people are afraid to come into the door.
that's right.
Did it again.
That's fine. Currently, we're in an old folks home, and so we have a lot of people just kind of walking through, and some of them, but they come, but it bothers me, like I don't want to be like grabbing somebody that went to some other church and now they're going to my church. I want to know how to reach people that don't know about God at all, and yet they know they feel God in their hearts. Everybody does. Or do they? I don't know. I'm confused by this. But I don't know how to. I mean, if I talk to people on the street, then they get very interested, but nobody seems to be able to sustain like an experiment of trying something new over an extended time. I'm not sure whether it's because we're so device dependent and so or the pandemic, which makes it harder to kind of deal with people you don't know. They could do random things, act weird. What are they afraid of?
Good place to stop.
You're disheartened by the lack of evangelical opportunities to reach out to other people outside of the church. Maybe evangelical is not the right word.
Big picture, yes.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of that word, and I'm not going to proselytize. I never do. Never. And I think this might be what they're afraid of, that someone's going to tell you what to do or think. And I think that brethren are pretty good at allowing people to be who they are and come, do their own research like so many conspiracy theorists do. I just wish that we could be more available to more people because it really does seem to help. It seems to calm people down. They have a good day. And part of it is like acknowledging the bad things in the world, the evils in the world, and knowing, just saying that's wrong. Never forget that what they're doing is completely wrong. And God does not condone that.
Big picture.
Finding a way to share the good news without making people feel bad.
sometimes I don't care if they feel bad, if depending on where they're coming from, because you could be activating a bad feeling that they're ready to face, that they want help with. I listen to a lot of people and they tell me a lot of things, and I'm not sure why, maybe because I do micro-paraphrasing. And also because I can kind of hold these things lightly because I know God will take care of them. And what a relief it is, to know that it's not up to any one person. I don't have to fix problems. We just have to figure out what we all collectively want to work on as a community.
You're looking for a way to build community within your neighborhood, your church, your community.
Yes. Thank you. I'm done.
Yes, thank you. So Harriet, thanks for volunteering to share some different kind of content also in comparison to some other people who shared. And Tara Lynn, you were monitoring, your length of paraphrases and your vocabulary and everything. And that was fine. I mean, you used a few more words and everything, but it was very clear that you were really focused on her and trying to reflect back to Harriet the best you could, and that the verbal and nonverbal counts for a lot. And some social scientists and some cultures believe that the nonverbal communication is, 50 to 93% even. So yours is a good example of that you're able to convey to the other person that you're there for them and you're focused on them. So thank you so much, both of you. So Enton, thanks for putting them back in their location in the body of listeners, and that we'll share just a few minutes of any observations that any of you want to make about either the micro-paraphrasing or this very structured process for supporting individuals who want to share in a special group of people. So it's, we were not just strangers off the street. We were part of a particular category, namely members of the Church of the Brethren across the denomination. So we're looking for anybody who wants to raise your hand to make an observation about your experience or any part of it.
Carolyn has raised her hand.
Carolyn.
Yes, Carolyn has raised her hand multiple times and not been recognized. Really?
Well, that you were trying to get the floor to for some purpose or another, and that we didn't recognize you.
Yes, several times.
Oh, wow, I feel terrible
It's been very frustrating to be with you all tonight. Really. But my question has been that several of the speakers have expressed things that are very very important to them and very difficult to share. And I noticed that it seems to be my inclination would have been to reach out to them, to if I were sitting next to them. And yet I think I hear you saying, Barbara, that might have interfered with their continuing to share and, get this out, right?
As the first thing to reach out, let's say, and put your, your hand or whatever on their arm or whatever, they probably would take that nonverbal as you're being very supportive of them. Probably, but not always. It's just that if your purpose is to comfort them and to, bring your heart close to them, that's one purpose. But if you want to invite them to share what's in their hearts and minds, to do that would stop them from being able to share. but they would get the message from you that you cared about them. So that, that sometimes is more important in the moment than offering to be there for them to share their heart, whatever it is that they have to share. So you always have, it's a judgment call in that moment, what your purpose is. And so I'm just suggesting that, and we're just suggesting that sometimes offering to be there as an instrument to reflect back what the person is wanting to share, which might be 1 or 10 paragraphs, or sometimes it's, for an hour, so it's like 30 paragraphs or more. So it depends on what your purpose is. But yes, you're also highlighting that nonverbal communication is very powerful and can really communicate deep caring for and compassion for someone else. So it depends on what your purpose is in the moment. So thank you for raising that.
So it's a matter of timing almost, right?
Well, oftentimes it is a matter of timing, and that and so that's why, if in your own mind you're clear about what your purpose is and what you're guessing that the other person's purpose is, like if the other person is coming and they're they have a lot of energy, like even just the few seconds we saw with the toddler, that was clear that she had something she wanted to share. So it depends, because sometimes somebody will come to you and that they want comfort, that it's not so much the words that they're going to be sharing, but they're emotionally sort of falling apart, and they need safety or nurture or whatever. So it depends on what your purpose is. So Carolyn, thanks for raising all this. I'm looking for a couple other people who would like to make observations or comments about either the skill of micro-paraphrasing or this very structured process that's created to help us in a group setting be able to really listen deeply to an individual person who's part of whatever the reason that you're called together, because there's always 3 purposes for a Daté Discernment Circle, usually one or the other, which is education, healing, or some kind of early problem solving. I'm just glancing around. Oh, yes,
Samuel has raised his hand.
Yes, Samuel.
Yeah, mine is a question, maybe not a proper question, but I was thinking this is a skill, but I was wondering what is the appropriate context within which this kind of skill is used, because communication takes place in a different way, either in a Bible study or in sports, when team come together, or in a different way, there is a communication, but this particular skill, which is the proper context for it?
Well, I hope you won't feel frustrated by my response, but I would say, when in doubt, paraphrase. So almost in any kind of situation, except maybe if your life is threatened, and even then it might be helpful to consider first whether you would want to offer this kind of reflecting back to the person what you understood that they just shared. And I invite you to really try it out in different situations and see what you mean, because I think in sports, you mentioned sports, I think that it would be very helpful if people would be, using this particular skill. But most people don't have as their purpose in various kinds of sports contexts to have to be compassionate towards the other person or the other people who are gathered, in that space or in that room. But I'm very biased about that from all of the experience I have working with people in different contexts and different places, different countries, different cultural backgrounds. But it is culturally specific, so you have to consider, whether it's appropriate in that moment or not. So a couple other observations, and then we're going to shift and invite you to share any gems that you notice. So I'm open to Colleen.
Yeah, I will admit that this is a very difficult transition for me because I spent most of my career, 36 years, as a registered nurse that we were supposed to fix things. And if an arrhythmia showed up on the heart monitor, I was supposed to give some meds. I was supposed to do CPR. I was supposed to take action. And it's difficult to listen to the issues and not want to offer solutions. It's good training for me. I just wish I'd had it a few years ago when I was working as a district executive, because I would have handled things a little bit differently, I think.
Yeah, it is a unique skill that isn't often offered to people at younger ages, but we can actually offer it to one another and to people at younger ages, and we're lifelong learners. So, Colleen, best wishes for using it from this day
I
forward.
can learn it at 81. Yes, I can.
Yes. Okay, Linda, you're motioning something, but you're maybe just affirming what's happening. You're muted.
Yes, I was affirming what Colleen was saying. Yes, sister.
And oftentimes we are focused for whatever reason when something looks like there's a problem, that we have the, not all of us, but many times we do want to, help fix the problem. And that more than half of the time, if you actually, interviewed the person secretly, what their purpose is, that they would actually say that they wanted to be listened and understood first before moving to do problem solving. And I'm pretty confident about that. So anyway, we want to shift gears and give you a couple of minutes to write into the chat or raise your hand to share in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 words what gem you're taking back into your lives from this week together, from last Tuesday to now.
And Barbara, we've got 2 folks with their hands up. First Gail and then Samuel and Rebecca again.
Okay, so we have Gail Ersma Valletta and then Samuel and or Rebecca. Okay, Gail?
Hi. I just like to say that I like to practice on sales clerks or grocery store clerks and to use that context. And so it's, it's like, oh, are you getting off your shift soon or something like that? And then I like to see the animated response if I get the paraphrase right.
Yeah, you get instant feedback, don't you? If you do it well, you get a smile or a right or a yes, or that's exactly it. Almost always you'll get a strong response like that. Okay, so Samuel or Rebecca, one of the 2 of you wanted to.
Yes, I just want to ask, is this to curtail sometimes a talkative person? Because I was in the middle of somewhere with the governor of our state, and then ambassador of US who went to attend our graduation because they sponsor us. But then the governor assumed that the ambassador came to visit him. So he was talking, we want this, we want this. And the ambassador tried to, he told him, I come here purposely because of SEPI, and your need is not, I cannot solve it. Is like a United States of America. So if someone come or all this, so he keep on talking, and I stop. I said, sir, what this ambassador is saying is he come purposely to visit the orphan and the widows because they support them. So he is not here purposely for Plateau State. And the ambassador said, yes, this is what I say. So let us go. I did not come because of you. So the governor was very angry with me, but I cut the 2 hours talk because the people will be living, the orphan and the widows. We prepare for him to come, but he was stuck in the government house with this big man.
Yes, you gave a great example of you're actually summarizing what you understood that somebody was doing, and you were pointing out that there was a conflict of those two purposes to be able to have an impact on that situation. So that's an example of you're noticing an opportunity to be helpful, and you had an idea about how to sort of straighten out the situation and help the person who was not understanding to be, I was going to use the word confronted, but to sort of shine a light on the situation so that it was possible to have that situation be changed.
But he was very angry with me. He said I took away the ambassador of the United States to go with me and all this. But
you did intervene, but you had your own purpose that the other person agreed with you that that was a good purpose. Yes, so thank you for sharing that example. So a couple others, and then we're going to
many chats too.
Yeah, Joe, you're monitoring the chats if you want to lift some of those up.
And Steve Stone has his hand up.
Joe's gonna lift up some of the chats.
Okay, and then we'll go back to hands. Terry Lynn, learning how to say more with less. Gail, yes, emphatically. Heather, listen first. Vicky, just affirming how good it is to listen, and it is a skill that can get dulled or honed. Colleen, God created me with 2 ears and only one mouth. Respect our Creator. And Heather, thank you so much. Good night, everyone. I must go.
Yes.
And Lisa, keep on micro-phrasing. Thanks for sharing your skills.
Thank you. I'm going to punt it over to, thanks, Joe. And I'm going to punt it over to Enton, and also Joe is going to offer a closing prayer, but Enton, I don't know if you want to speak before or after Joe, or both.
Or do you want a quick work in Steve since he has his hand up?
Oh, one more person. Oh, Steve, yes.
Yes. In my training as a chaplain, we would write up our encounter with a patient and get feedback from our colleagues. And we were, sometimes I say the difference between a pastor and a chaplain. A pastor is pretty much evaluated on what they say, how they teach, and how they preach. A chaplain is much more evaluated on how they listen. And when you critique one another's verbatims, that's what a written up encounter is called, you pay attention to two things: the content of the words spoken, and the content is basically made up of two things: the person's life history, their life story, and challenges that they currently face. But equally important to the content is the emotions the person is feeling during the interaction. And that seemed like a good background for this type of, or micro-paraphrasing.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Okay, Enton, did you want to get the floor before or after Joe?
No, I think, Joe, it's time for us to conclude, and so I would invite you to bring our course to an end with a prayer or however you see fit.
Let's have a brief prayer. Our God, we thank you for hearing each of us. You heard us. You heard our hearts before we signed in. You've been hearing us all week. You hear us all night. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for increasing our ability to listen to one another. Enlarge our hearts. Heal our hearts. You've seen the corners of our hearts that are also full of pain. Thank you for your healing. We thank you that you will go with us back to our families, our churches, and our neighborhoods, our world. Thank you for your presence. We thank you for your spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joe. Friends, this concludes not only this session, but the course. We'll try to get the recordings out so that you can review them if you wish. And each of our presenters has had the time to be able to stay behind and chat with you a little longer if you want to stay. But if it's late and you need to go to other things, please feel free to do that. But Barbara and Joe and Harriet, thank you so much.